This episode is brought to you by TaxAct. Don't do your taxes alone. Join TaxAct's National Admin Night. Admin nights are social gatherings for getting through your to-do list. So get ready for a night of fun, finding deductions, and filing taxes with TaxAct, where you can file your federal and state return for just $49 through April 8. Let's get together and get them over with. Visit taxact.com/admin-night for details.
Hello there. No, I have not become a 4-pack-a-day smoker, nor have I just gotten home after a massive rager of a party. The throaty quality of my voice, which I apologize for, is thanks to a little gift I received over Thanksgiving. And today is the first day I'm actually able to record this open without sounding like a frog on helium. But enough about me. Today, my guest is truly one of my favorite people. She is a mentor and a daily inspiration. She is the Doyenne of Baking, the queen of the reverse creaming method, Levy Beranbaum. And she's also, the award-winning author behind 12 cookbooks, including the Cookie Bible and the Baking Bible, and the 35th anniversary edition of the Cake Bible came out this fall with revised and updated recipes. And so, of course, I had to have her on. We did record this a little bit ago, but I wanted to save the recording for the post-election holiday season to bring us all a little cheer, and I think it will. Before we get there, a little bit of housekeeping as per usual, and a quiet reminder that all the recipes for this podcast and links can be found on my Substack newsletter at marissarothkopf.substack.com. And you can support my work with a subscription for $5 a month. Or if that's not possible yet, you can subscribe for free. And I'm just as glad to have you. And please don't forget to join the Deep State Radio as a member for very special perks. Either way, I am grateful for your support. Hello and welcome to It's So Nice to Have in My Kitchen, sort of, even if it's over my computer. Levy Beranbaum here to talk about, and I'm holding it up, no one can tell. I'm also, good thing I've been working out because this puppy weighs a lot, the Cake Bible. And it's not the Cake Bible from 35 years ago, my friends. It is the Cake Bible, the 35th anniversary edition, but fully revised and updated. And the idea that I'm talking to you about this, and you must get this a lot, but that I'm talking to you having read this book 35 years ago when I was just learning to read, maybe. No, that's not my religion. Anyway, welcome to be able to be talking to you and having you talking to you about this when many years ago, that would have made me go, oh my God, I'm talking to Levy Beranbaum. So it's really a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank goodness I wrote this book so that it gives us an excuse to get caught up and talk to each other.
Exactly. This book has been so important to so many cooks. All you have to do is read Ron Ben Israel's introduction. Second, you have 2 introductions in the book. You have the original from Maida Heater, who has gone to the Great Bakery in the Sky, and you have this new one by Ron Ben Israel, who talks about how it changed his life and turned him into literally the Food Network star that he is. I just love the idea that he would go to the library and take out the Cake Bible and then return it. And he points out he returned it on time. And then take it out again.
I haven't read this forward in years. And I reread it, and I was so impressed with all the points that she made. A writer's dream to have somebody review them that way, to give a forward like that. I wish I could thank her. And, well, I did thank her. And then I read Ron's, which were current, and I hadn't read that in a year or so. And I was just so moved by both of them. And the brilliant of the publisher to put them side by side, the designer. Ron's on the left, Maida's on the right.
It's perfect. It's perfect that way. There have been a number of, this book itself won the James Beard Award. It was entered into the IACP Culinary Classic Hall of Fame book. I mean, that's a triumph in and of itself. So why revise it?
That's what I kept saying. Especially, I didn't want to have to. I was resistant. I didn't want to redo all those photos. That would have been a nightmare. I knew they couldn't use the old plates. But why revise it? My husband, now my sister of 20 years, he said that so much has changed, especially the cake pans. They're now all 2 inches. I mean, the standard but was 1.5 inches. And you can't just increase it by so much. It's just not quite the same. And also, the ingredients are changed, and the size of egg yolks in relation to the white, all these things. And flour, the soul of non-flourless cakes also. I mean, I didn't even have to put bleached cake flour in the original cake Bible because that's all there was. And now there are unbleached cake flours that don't perform at all the same way. And I've tested them. But that's the thing. I tested every single recipe, retested, and decided what we should keep and what we should replace with some of the new things. And one of the things I left out was one of the first cakes I ever baked was the chocolate mayonnaise cake. And I thought, I really hate this. I thought it was a cute idea. And out of sentimentality, I put it in because it was my late mother-in-law gave it to me. But I was kind of brutal about what to cut and what to replace. But we didn't just replace, we added new things as well because we were discovering new things. So it became a book that was 2.5 years of night and day, including maybe 6 different versions from the publisher having to tweak. But Marissa, you don't know this, and nobody else would either if I don't tell. But the amazing thing is Woody, my assistant, insisted, and they gave us the printout. He insisted on cutting it apart and having every recipe that's on 2 pages be on the left and on the right, on opposing pages. So you don't have to turn a page when you're in the middle of a recipe. And there were many like that. And they allowed him to do that. So it became a perfect book. I mean, it's worth the huge effort that we made in so many aspects.
That is such a smart idea because having to turn the page in the middle, I mean, it is such a hassle because you forget sometimes. I'm just saying from my own personal experience that sometimes you kind of forget that maybe there's another side. And then you're like, wait, what happened? Where do I go? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, right. That's right. I have to turn the page. So maybe I'm not the smartest person, but still, I think, I'm not the only one. I'm looking at this, what are truly centerfold pictures of the cakes that you have in here. And it's just, I mean, I have had the pleasure of meeting your photographer, Matthew Septimus, and what an incredible job he does. Really, truly. Such a beautiful cake. And
Aaron Squalling. Yep.
But also that's what a wonderful thing to have Erin have you two fallen into each other's lives, and she could be there to help you with the revised version of this.
Really, it was a gift from her part. Because one day I was saying, just wishful thinking, Erin, wouldn't it be amazing if we could come to Kansas? Because she moved from New Jersey to her hometown. And I said, I know it's not possible, but, that would be the ideal because you've done all the past 2 books, and I know you're not doing it anymore. But, she grew up basically when she was at the CIA. She grew up with the Cake Bible. She couldn't afford to buy it, so she sat on the library floor reading it. So it meant so much to her. And suddenly she said, no, I think I can manage it. And we all, including Matthew, the photographer, and her assistants, 2 of them, her best friend from the CIA, they all came to help. I mean, there has been so much love put into this book, and it shows, including for the publisher and
that is so
for a better editor, Cassie Jones. Well, yeah, her married name is Morgan, so I was a little stumbling, but Cassie Jones is our editor, and and the best words I've ever heard in the humor in all of the English language that she said to my agent, my lawyer, is, whatever Rose wants, I want. I mean, have you ever heard anybody say that to you? I even have my husband say that to
Oh
me.
my, that
Although Woody acts that way, but
I, but to have your publisher say that, I think go down in the annals of history as being the only time. I mean, that's amazing and incredible. How has working with
Hmm.
how has working with Woody changed, aided, improved, other than what you just told me, but improved the process of reworking the Cake Bible?
Immensely. I thought you were going to ask how it affected our relationship. Well, and
that's the next question.
Also the encouragement part. I mean, my father years ago, who was a cabinet maker, said that if you have the right partner, 1 and 1 makes more than 2. And with Woody, it made 100. I mean, his perspective, and also he has been working with me for all these years, so he understood everything. Plus, he had his own ideas about things, and he contributed things. And when I would say, no, we can never add cookies to a cake, like chocolate chip cookies to a bun cake, it's not going to work. And he said, "Can I try it?" And I said, "Why? Are you wasting your time?" Well, guess what? He did it, and it's fantastic. So I said after that, I won't ever again say, "Why not try something?" Because it's always worth trying. It's been really fun. And I mean, I remember Julia Child saying about her last book. She said to me, "I'm not writing any more books because it's really lonely." And people, well, she didn't say this, but I'm saying that when you write, even if you love writing as we do, you and I, that it's lonely. So to have Woody, and here's the really best part, is that I never write anything in the final form without reading it out loud to him, and I always change it. Because the written word is different from the spoken, and you don't want just the spoken, you want both. So that's been great. And we're saying what a miraculous relationship that we really never argue. Although sometimes I say, Woody, this is supposed to be a discussion, not an argument, and you're turning it to an argument. But the only time really is when we're editing, because we may have different points of view, and that's good because then whatever comes out at the end is what we both agree with. Good question.
Right. And it's not, I really, I can't tell you, like, from a teacher of writing's perspective, the idea that you have each other to help each other proofread, nothing could be better than that. That is just such a great way to write. And it's also like, it can be lonely here in the kitchen, she said, looking around, as a person, who now my dog is gone, my kids are in college, and I'm working on this cookbook, and social media sort of helps. But the thing that sort of kept it from being like, hi, I'm over here and talking to myself too much is I'm sharing all my cookies that I bake. So I've made a lot of friends, closer friends with my neighbors as I hand out like the treats, and so that's been really actually a really nice part of it.
There are always
and unexpected friendships have come up.
I love silver linings. I'm always looking for them, and never have I not found them. Although surely are some instances.
But see that. But that's a really pretty decent attitude, I got to say. I want to tell you that I'm very easily distracted. I was looking at the pictures in this book, and see the lemon poppy seed cake that you made for my birthday. Thank you, everybody. And I see the whipped cream cake that you and I made to test when I was working for Newsweek, and we were testing these like small countertop ovens, and you were like, this is how you should test it, with whipped cream cake. And you came to my house and we made that. But the thing I really, really, really want right now is the praline brioche cake, please. What is that like inside when you cut into it?
There's so many cakes, I'm not sure which one is being referred to. Praline brioche. The triple chocolate. All right. Tell you what page, and I will look at it. Praline brioche. Isn't that funny that I can't think? How is brioche?
It's on page 276.
276. And you're right, it's a darn heavy book. 276. I count on Woody to schlep it around.
It's basically a brioche. It's a brioche cake that you soak in rum.
I don't know why I called it praline though. Let's see. Oh, because my neoclassic.
Because then you put praline. Buttercream on this version.
I enhanced it. Yeah, this was a really unique thing that I discovered at Le Notre, to make brioche as a cake instead of just as a like a muffin or bun. And I thought it deserved the praline buttercream. In fact, there are just so many variations in this book that even though we say we increased the recipes by 30%, I think it's more than that because I wanted to include everything I loved. Well, Marissa, you have to go back to the pre-Boxing Day party, and I will bring something really special. I'd already been planning it. I should have written it down. It's been about 3 years since my plan. I think it was chocolate.
Yeah, I have to say, I have a lot. We usually have a Boxing Day party at my house because my husband is English and everybody's always off celebrating with their family members. So the idea is that we have this very relaxed sort of buffet where everyone can go sort of hang around and let's be honest, drink sidecars, my husband's sidecars, and eat and chitter chat. But you come bearing always an incredible cake, and which is not the only reason you get invited, Rose. We like you as a person too.
Well, now that I'm not going to be writing any more cookbooks, I'm going to be doing my memoir. Of course, I've always done this anyway, but anywhere I make a cake, and I may even get inspired to try something new. Although, since I've included every single thing my brain can come up with, you can't say that something is the perfect thing, because when I produced mercury thermometers that were the only thermometers in the country and Europe as well that were accurate to a fraction of a degree, and then the USDA decided that, and they're right, that it's dangerous in the kitchen should it break. And I thought, this is the end. There's nothing as accurate as mercury. And along comes the Thermopen 1 that reads within a half a second. I mean, imagine no mercury can go from 70-degree room temperature to 400 in a half a second. I mean, it's quick, but it's not that quick. So technology is ever expanding. And I can't say that this is my last cake discovery. There'll be more.
No, I can't. I can't believe that would happen. That would happen. That would be that. I think one of the things to people who, I don't know, have not had the pleasure of knowing you or really digging deep enough into your books, the innovations and that you have made in for baking have been so monumental and are now sort of accepted as like, well, of course. And I really want to point out the source of these things, and it's you. And I would include on that list, everybody talks about the reverse creaming method. We can talk about that in a second, which is now something that people use and pretend they invented it. And the Thermopen, which has changed also the way that not just I bake, and I think a lot more people, and I want this to happen within the next, as I'm writing recipes, and I see it more and more, is people giving the temperature. I see them doing it for bread, but the temperature for a cake in the middle, so that you know that it's done. Because how many of us have been like, yeah, I'm trying it this, you're testing it using these old methods that grandma used to like touch it, does it bounce back? And they're good. But the temperature is really the best thing you can do.
Are you getting to the gram weight?
And that was the next. I literally had just opened my mouth to say, and you can't see it at home because this is a podcast. But what's this, Rose?
The Ascali scale. No,
it's the Ascali scale, which I have because Rose said to me, "You better what?" No, you would never talk to me like that.
Highlight every single important thing that I feel that I've had to offer to the baking world. Thank you. And it's true that people think I invented the
And
reverse thing, but I only invented, and not any small thing, because it had always been said that it could not be done with butter. And that was my invention. And I found a way to do it. And what's the point of making a cake with Crisco? It has no flavor. So I'm proud of that. But I don't
yeah,
want to call it. It's not mine.
yeah.
No, we'll go ahead with grams and weights because
The other,
just had a thank you.
yeah, you when I told you that I was getting to write a cookbook, you were very polite and you did say things like congratulations, but the second sentence was what?
You are giving
Are you
weights.
using grams? You better be using grams and weights.
I didn't say you better be. It's polite. I thought, what? I mean,
Yeah, no. I'm sure if I pulled up the text right now, it wouldn't say you better. You actually didn't. You said, please tell me you'll be using.
Yeah. I was so relieved.
You said it politely, but with force.
I mean,
didn't you raise me? You raised me good, Rose. You raised me good.
Marissa, I have to apologize and explain that a lot of people feel that it's more user-friendly to give the old method of volume. And I thought maybe you're trying to appeal to another audience. You never know. I mean, I know you know weights are better. So that was really my thinking. I trusted you.
With the election of Donald Trump, staying informed is more important than ever, and we're thankful you've chosen to listen to the DSR Network. Through the turbulent times ahead, we will continue to provide the insightful expert analysis on the issues that matter most around the world. We ask that you consider becoming a member to support our effort to provide you the best content possible. DSR members gain access to an ad-free listening experience, exclusive members-only segments of our shows, our members-only Discord community, and more. Use code HOLIDAY25 to get 50% off of your membership subscription at thedsrnetwork.com/buy. That's code HOLIDAY25 at thedsrnetwork.com/buy. The DSR Network will evolve in exciting ways in the new year, and we hope you'll join us.
And the other thing is, you always have to make sure you're a scientist. You're not just going to let something go wild on its own. The other part about weights that I don't know if people realize, and this will be my soapbox that I stand on holding my Ascali scale, is it's better for lazy cooks. It's so much easier to just be like, have a bowl, dump the things in, weigh it, put it in. So on top, you get a lot of benefits like precision, but it's also so much easier than taking out the quarter cup and the 3/4 cup and whatever. They don't even have 3/4 cups, right? You have to take a half and a quarter.
Less to clean up as well. Yes, faster is easier.
Absolutely. So,
agree.
Exactly. And the other thing is, and I'm pointing to my oven, is you also are an enormous advocate, and I have to say I was a little late to the game on this one, is getting an oven thermometer. Because the oven that I spent all of my children's college savings on to buy is not precise.
I'm hesitating
and it causes,
right. You didn't ask me what
Sorry?
Did you? I don't remember.
Can you say it again? I'm sorry. We broke up.
I don't remember you asking me for a recommendation on oven thermometers, so I hope you ended up with the one of my dreams. Not mine.
What would you say the one of your dreams is? Because I didn't end up with that one. I used something cheap and cheerful that I thought a lot of people would have, so I used that one. But what's your favorite one?
The ThermoWorks Square Dot, because it gives you the range of how things fluctuate, so you can actually adjust it. Because no oven is that accurate. I mean, it's good to know what your oven is. So yeah, I think it's worth it.
I do. Because you're not
I think
finding inexpensive oven thermometers really working for you, I always say the alternative is to bake a cake that you're familiar with, or take my basic yellow cake, which bakes between 20 and 30 minutes. And if it takes longer, you know that you have to turn it down slightly, or if it takes a shorter time, to turn it up. And that is kind of like a built-in thermometer in a way.
But you also talk about the shape of the cake, indicating whether or not your oven is too hot or too cold or too cold.
Quickly, it's going to dome, so you can see that as well. And it will fall if it bakes too slowly, because the heat penetration is what they call in the industry, is better when it's a higher heat, of course, and then you get a flatter surface. Then, of course, then you get into the bake strips, one of my creations, the silicone bake strips. They keep the outside of the pan cooler, because anything that's against metal is going to set first. Perish the thought of using a glass pipe, a cake pan. That's completely off, off the table. But for all metal pans, any way, the heat is first at the outside edge. So it sets there, then it continues rising in the center and it domes. So that's why if you don't buy my silicone cake strips, you can make your own. And in fact, in the book, we say how to do it. But strips of aluminum foil that you wrap around some wet paper towels and use a paper clamp, that will work too. And it can be reused.
That's really smart. That's a really smart addition.
Yeah, I'm not trying to sell something. My goal, and it always has been, is to get people to make a cake that comes out as well as when I make it. And I'll do anything, give any information, but in secrets or whatever, to achieve that. I mean, it used to be people would keep their recipes secret. This is the dark ages of cookbook writing. But my goal was, why aren't people copying what I'm doing? Why aren't they sharing it with other people? And that's why I'm so glad that the reverse creaming, even if other people are going to claim it, at least they're doing it.
It's really. Can you just quickly explain for those out there who may usually tune into me for like political commentary, what the reverse creaming, and might not know what the reverse creaming method is, what the reverse creaming method is, and why?
We can call it
I should use it.
Politics of cake baking. Okay, so reverse creaming is that instead of creaming the butter with the sugar first and then adding the flour, alternating with the liquid ingredients, reverse creaming is starting off like a cake mix with a lot better though, with all the dry ingredients, the flour, the leavening, the salt, and then only a small portion, and the butter. Okay, because only a small portion of the liquid, just enough to mix initially so that it coats the flour and keeps it from absorbing the liquid too much right away, which would make it tough. And simple as that.
But that's also an easier way and a faster way to make a cake.
And easier, faster, better. There are very few things in life that don't have a downside.
So not only
if I had to give a downside, it would only be that with shortening, it doesn't matter the temperature, whereas with butter, it has to be between 65 and 75, which is most room temperature. But if you're baking in the summer and you don't have an air-conditioned kitchen and it's 85 degrees, it won't work well.
Yeah, that was actually that's on my list of questions for you, because I think it's something that I know that I'm trying to be precise about in my cookbook, but can you explain to people why like 65 to 75 degrees is the ideal temperature? Because a lot of people are like, oh no, my cookies spread all over the pan, or they have other problems when they're baking cookies, and a lot of times I think it's because their butter is like way too soft or way too cold.
I'm sure you do.
Tell us, Goldilocks, why should it be 65 to 75 degrees?
Sure, you do the same thing that I do with cookies when it gets too soft, and that's refrigerate them before baking so they don't spread as much. But yeah, when it comes to cakes, this is not going to help. And if the butter is, for example, too cold, it won't integrate. It won't, what they call emulsify, which means mix things evenly. And if it's too hot, it will also leak out of suspension. So you can't restore that once you do it. Once you've mixed your batter, you can't just say, okay, I'll refrigerate the batter before baking. You've already the harm's been done. You've already done it in the mixing. So that's the simple explanation. And that's why I came up with the idea of reverse creaming with butter, is it said butter emulsifies best between 65 and 75. I thought, well, good, let me try it. And it wasn't just one try, that was many, like 2022, before I perfected the exact method.
So if I really wanted to go overboard, could I just take my Thermapen and jam it in the middle of my stick of butter and take its temperature?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Sorry?
if you do a Thermapen, take your finger and squish it down, and it should squish down, but not like a puddle. But, the Thermapen is useful for so many things that if you have one, you might as well use it to test the butter. We do. Why have to
It
guess?
was one of the first things I tested when I worked at Newsweek, when I was testing kitchen gadgets. I got a Thermapen and I was like, oh my goodness, the world needs to know about the Thermapen. But I didn't know you then, so I didn't know how important you'd been to the creation of the Thermapen.
I feel like it's my right hand. That I couldn't manage with it.
Oh,
and I've done so much to support the Thermapen, Marissa, that because I so believe in it, that to my total astonishment, I feel like they're family, but I didn't know they felt the same way about me. The owner and his wife are coming to the launch in Cambridge, all the way from Utah. I just found that out 2 nights ago. I get the chill even telling you. Isn't that just beautiful? That he said that they want to support me as the way I've been supporting them. And it's not for money. I did it for nothing because I believe that it's critical to have the correct equipment. And this is one of my top. This and the scale are my 2 top pieces of equipment. Isn't that beautiful, though?
That is so sweet. That is really, really sweet. For fans of the Bible, of the Cake Bible, what would you say they're going to be impressed with, or what should they start with? That's going to be new to them in the Cake Bible, the revised one.
Well, do you mean people who've not been baking before, or people who?
No, I mean people who own the original, I do. What would you tell them to kick off their new adventure with the new revised version?
I love that question. And that's the Domingo, the cake, the chocolate Domingo that's dedicated to Placido. And I actually found where he's located in Spain so that we could send him a book, because his quote is still on the book. Anyway, what to suggest is redoing that, because I said that this is perfection. It's a cake that has the maximum amount of butter that a chocolate cake could contain. You don't even need frosting. It wasn't hurt to put a good ganache on top. But the reason I say do it, because you'll see the difference in hydrating cocoa and how it gives more flavor, better texture. And what he said, why don't you replace the sour cream with water to do it? And I said, because sour cream is what gives it the amazing flavor. And then I thought, bingo, it's a half a cup plus a tablespoon of sour cream. So why not sacrifice 1 tablespoon and use boiling water? That's all you need. And of course, when you're hydrating cocoa, you have to immediately afterwards cover it with plastic wrap, because when it's sitting there, it will dry. That's the only caveat, but it really made a world of difference in such a simple thing, so make it and see, because I always used to have a slightly darker line at the bottom of the cake, which I didn't really care, but since I'm always going for perfection, I thought there's got to be a way to prevent it by doing the water trick. If you mix it right, everything else is right, you won't get that line. So, big eureka.
That is a great, that's a really fascinating eureka. And I channeled you the other day. There's a cake you can't see behind me. That's a coffee walnut cake. It's a very English sort of, what I would call sort of a grandma cake, And it has, it's not coffee walnut, mine's coffee pecan. But I bloomed my cocoa. There's cocoa that goes into it, and I bloomed it before I put it in. And I thought of you.
My protege here. I always be her. Speaking of your English lab, people, I could really recommend to people that to make, and that's the dried English fruit.
Look, I'm sorry.
What?
That's what you need to bring Mark, is a fruit cake.
But this is like
that-
unlike when people in this country think, oh, what do they call glacé fruit? But this doesn't have any glacé
Yeah.
fruit, dried fruit, and it is fabulous.
Mhm.
Loves it. Yes, okay, I'll bring that. If you don't beat me to it.
It looks, from the top, it looks almost exactly like the coffee walnut sponge.
Oh, really? Hot
It-
pecans,
it's
and they don't have pecans in Europe. Or now, do they now have? Do they
they call
have?
them pecans.
Oh, right.
Um,
We used this in the South. So they do have them, huh? They just didn't pronounce them right.
They do
Wait,
have them. It's just the one they just exactly. They have them. They just don't pronounce them right.
Wait, Marissa, you didn't. Maybe you didn't hear. I was so busy writing your book that the day I was to submit the final version, I got a email, a text from a friend in the UK, in England, and she said the cake flour that was previously made only for industry that is heat treated, which is the same results as bleaching, which they don't allow, they now have just today, that day, made it available to the home baker. And I was able to change that in the book. Instead of saying, unfortunately, it's only available for in the industry, so you have to make your own. And somebody, Kate Coldrick, who came out with what I call cake flour, tells people how to do it in the microwave. But who wants to do it if you can buy it? And now you can. And I'm so overjoyed. Imagine the coincidence of that.
That's so funny because I just read that sentence about, like, before I was talking to you about having to heat treat my own cake flour.
And did you see that now
that's-
Cotswold is the company that does it? So now
well,
people
maybe I should go to the Cotswolds. We have to unfortunately wrap this up, because otherwise I'm going to talk through every single recipe in here, which, that's a podcast in and of itself. We just talk through every recipe. In fact, that's a great idea, and don't tell anybody, and let's do that. But the other thing
I want to know what caught your eye the most. Okay, maybe you're about to tell me. Okay.
Oh, what caught my, but like, that's like choosing between children. But I will say that the thing that caught my eye the most is, every photograph caught my eye. Everything about the new design of the book pleases me because it feels brighter and a little brighter and lighter. That's just because that's what like modern cookbooks look like. But I have to say, the one I really want to deal with is the cream cheese stabilized whipped cream, which I've been sort of thinking about for myself for a recipe. And I want to ask you a question about that in a second. But it's that praline brioche cake that really is, once I'm done baking chocolate chip cookies, God willing, at some point in the near future, and send off my cookbook. And then it's just about baking. It's my first baking things that aren't mine. The first thing I will bake is going to be that praline brioche cake.
Really? Great. I hope you'll photo.
Mhm. Maybe you could come over and eat it.
With pleasure. I
I'm
don't
sorry?
believe with pleasure. I said, I don't believe in too much piping these days. So many ways to make a cake beautiful without getting futzy, but being able to make the hazelnut filbert on the top and alternating with one that with buttercream that looks like the filbert is so easy, and isn't it charming?
It's something even I can do, and I'm not a big piper of frostings, and it looks so cute. Also, the top of that cake looks just flawlessly smooth. Before we go, do you have any, I asked this question rather selfishly, do you have any advice for my last few weeks of writing my manuscript?
Well, I can't say get a Woody, but see if you can work with somebody. I didn't mean it that way. I'm sure there'd be many people with pleasure in proofing with you. Okay. I'm doing a Camilla lab. But there's nothing better than laughter, isn't that true? I know that you don't have cake or proof, but to have to read it out loud or to proof it. Oh, great. Okay. And he has a beautiful voice and accent.
Mark has already said that he'll do that. Dreamy accent. I think on that note, I shall go back to baking, and you go back to being you, and I hope to see you in the real future, in the near future in real life. But for everybody out there who may not have that pleasure, honestly, holding on to a copy of the Cake Bible is like having you in the kitchen. And I know that was your intention, and that it comes through with every single recipe.
That's the best comment of all I could imagine. Thank you, Marissa. You are the best. I couldn't wait for this.
Right back at you. Thank you. Thank you for listening. You can follow Rose on Instagram at Real Baking with Rose, and you can find her book wherever fine books are sold. You can find me at marissarofkopf.substack.com or all over Instagram or Blue Sky or Threads. You can give me a follow there at Marissa Rothkopf. Thank you so much. Stay well. Gargle with honey. Oh, wait, that's for me. But yes, have a great week.
Busch Light is cold and smooth and waiting for you to get out there. Everyone knows that the classic taste of Busch Light is brewed for the outdoors. So before cracking open your next adventure, grab a case of Busch Light. Because nature is even cooler with Busch Light in your cooler. Head for the mountains of Busch. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2026 Anheuser-Busch Busch Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.